Checking in with Anthony and Glenn is brought to you by HD Supply.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.
Anthony, how you doing, man?
My man, Glenn Haussman.
Hey, what's up, dude? So I'm so stoked to be talking with you today because I got to tell you, man, we've been doing some really heavy shit. A lot of big issues. I love it. It's great. I love talking about how to empower people to be more successful every single day in their lives and their careers and to try to look at themselves a little differently. But I think what we need to think about today, some of the most common problems that people are experiencing in hotels and how they can solve them. What do you think about that as an idea for today?
I think that's really kind of what we should be talking about because we have a lot of experience with that stuff, right?
Yeah, we certainly do. But I got to tell you, before we get into this, I want to congratulate all the hoteliers that are out there because most of you, nearly all of you, do such an amazing time each and every stay that I have. And Anthony, I think I've clocked up almost 100 nights in hotels so far this year, and the negative experiences I have, I can't even think of any off the top of my head.
I think that's a really good point. I think the way the hotel businesses are run now and the way they were run 25 years ago, I think it's completely different. It's almost like the McDonald's of hotels. It's like there's just systems in place. And it's good and bad. On one hand, it's good because that means there's big brands running it like a machine. So that's the good part of it.
Right.
The bad part of it is it's big hotel companies running them like machines.
Yeah.
but
yeah.
it gives you a quality stay. But you know what's the one thing, the one complaint that people always tell me about when they're traveling?
What's that?
They're always saying there's so much noise from the room next door. Now, I've traveled a lot, and very rarely do I hear noise. And I actually heard it in a 4-star hotel not too recently. I heard a little bit of people not arguing,
Right.
but just speaking loudly. And but rarely does it happen anymore. And I just think maybe they figured out the soundproofing. They figured out the adjoining door, how to soundproof that. But that is probably one of the number one complaints in the hotel industry is noise from the hallway and noise from the next door. And you know where most of the noise comes from? It comes from about 8 o'clock in the morning when the housekeepers come up on the floor and they're going to get their towels and they're going to get their carts and they're talking to each other.
Oh, they're awfully chatty.
They were like, "How are you? How's it going? Good to see you." Or, "Hey, do you have any shampoo?" or whatever. Right. And you hear that conversation from your bed, and they're not really being understanding that it's still 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're not maybe starting to 8:30, but we can hear everything you're saying.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the things that I find most troubling is that why do they all have to knock on the door at like 7:30 in the morning? I'm still asleep, and I'm not smart enough to put the "Do Not Disturb" sign on my.
Well,
on
I
my
think
door.
you're exaggerating because I don't think most housekeepers knock about 7:30. I think they knock about 8:30.
I know. I was
think you're
exaggerating a little bit.
Exaggerating because most people aren't out of their room by 7:30, so it's a waste of payroll for us to call up the housekeepers to come in earlier than 8, 9 o'clock because most people aren't out of the room. Except you'll call up a housekeeper like for early checkouts. You'll get a couple of rooms ready, but outside of that, they're knocking about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And the reason they're knocking on your door, Glenn, is because they want to clean your room.
No, that's absolutely right because they've got a job to do. They've got a certain amount of rooms that they're tasked with every single day, and the quicker they could get in, the quicker they could go home.
So what happens when you get a noise complaint from a guest?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I never have any problems with noise, and now I'm starting to think that we're having this conversation. Maybe I'm the jerk creating all of the noise next door.
Maybe you are. Basically, I'm going to say this through all the points we're going to hit, is you got to just call the front desk and just tell people that this is a problem. And if it happens consistently and not do anything about it, go online and tell them. So the number one complaint is basically
Too
noise.
much noise.
The number two complaint is what I hear is dirty rooms.
Oh, yeah.
I checked into a dirty room. How's that happen, Glenn?
How does that? I don't know how that happens, honestly.
Really? You're not a hotel guy? I thought you were a hotel guy.
No, I'm not a hotel guy. I'm just a guy that complains about hotels for
Well, I'll tell you how that happens.
But I will tell you from a guest point of view that it's always puzzling to me when I walk into a situation and something hasn't been cleaned. And it's usually something that sticks out. And if there was anyone supervising it, it should be pointed out. Why is there still something in the trash? Why is that item left undone? Why is this thing happening? Because my eyes immediately go to it, and I don't understand how it could occur.
Well, I think there's two dirty rooms. The dirty room that you get checked into, that's a dirty room. It's like the room
That
just
hasn't
wasn't
even been
made.
touched. Well,
Right. Has that happened? to
That
you?
I see, no, but I see people tell me that it happens.
Right.
People sometimes go into rooms and there's some guy already in the room. Those
Right.
kinds of things happen. That
Right.
seems to be a system issue.
Were you interested in how it happened, Glenn?
You know I'm interested, Anthony.
Okay.
Come on, don't play coy with me.
So the dirty room, when a room is dirty and you get checked into that, it's because somebody simply just put in that room as clean. Somebody
Right.
hit a button somewhere in housekeeping or front desk and put it in as vacant clean.
Mm-hmm.
Or there was some kind of variance on the report that nobody checked, and they kept that room in as clean when it was really dirty. And then you get checked into it. Number two, on the dirty rooms where maybe you'll see like a dirty picture frame, you'll see a dirty sheet. That's simply that the room wasn't inspected or the housekeeper didn't do a good job. Now imagine cleaning 16 rooms a day. It's a lot of work.
A lot of work.
So there's most hotels have inspectors. You can't just clean a room and hope the housekeeper did a great job. You have to have somebody go and help.
That's
her.
right. And I'll tell you, sometimes I get to a hotel and they're like, sorry, sir, your room's not ready. We're close. We just have to send a supervisor to make sure it's ready for you.
Right. And what I usually say is, I just want my room.
Right.
It just happened at Disney World, and I was like, just give me my room. And they were nice enough to give me my room, but they of course went up with me.
Yeah, that's good that you were able to do that. So what were you doing at Disney World? You don't seem much like a Disney kind of fan.
I actually am a Disney fan.
Yeah?
I was at a convention, and I was being asked to go observe something that I'm working on for another business that I'm going to create in the next 12 months. So I went down there for a couple of days. It was actually pleasant. Talking about Disney World, the president of Disney World.
You talking about Bob Chapek?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What was his job for 40 years? Or what did he do for 40 years?
That I don't know. I just know that he's ascended to this particular position and is angling to replace Bob Iger when he retires.
Well, we're talking about the president of Disney World Park.
That's right.
In Disney World.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Bob Chapek, yeah.
He was a busboy at the Contemporary Hotel 40 years ago and has never gotten a paycheck anywhere but Disney World.
Wow.
And he worked his way up.
Wow. And you can do that. As a matter
Isn't
of
that
fact.
great?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, I had on my No Vacancy podcast, I had Dan Cockrell, who was the VP of the Magic Kingdom. So he's one of the top guys over there. Great show, because I learned a lot about management styles and how they run things behind the scenes. Pretty cool.
Wow, that's really cool. And it's also interesting. There's a little controversy to that. Because we found out, we did some DNA testing on him, and we found out he's actually related to Mickey Mouse. And,
Who, by the way, Mickey Mouse is celebrating his 90th birthday, and I don't like to brag, but I'm going to do it anyway. Mickey Mouse and I share the same birthday.
Really? What day is that?
November 18th.
Oh, so do I have to write down that your birthday's November 18th?
No, don't worry. I'll remind you.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're one of those guys.
No, I'm not. I actually feel really uncomfortable when everyone's like, happy birthday. Yeah, have a happy birthday.
So how many people actually come up to you and go, happy birthday?
Right? None.
Okay. All right. So
It's mostly people that have been smart enough to either write it down on their calendars or they have Facebook, so they're alerted that it's my birthday.
So we're talking about what are the biggest complaints in the industry, and dirty rooms.
Yep, is number
noisy rooms.
Right, but what about the whole idea of showing up and reservations aren't honored? That would be the next one that's on my list.
Well, there are going to be a number of three reasons. One, I'm going to first say is when you book through a third party, Expedia hotels, which are great sites, but when you book through, it just gets complicated because it has to go through a system. It has to get through their system, then gets into our system, and sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes in the middle of transit, the reservation gets just lit up into thin air and it never arrives. So you get there, it's late at night, the hotel's sold out, you don't have the reservation, but you have a confirmation number. And you're like, no, I have a reservation. I have a confirmation number. So I'm sorry, sir, but that was made through a third party, and we really can't help you because it's not in our system. You have to call the third party. So then you're at the front desk and you call the third party, and then you want to bite your nose off.
Oh, yeah.
And then the front desk clerk is like, you want a cookie? No, I don't want a fucking cookie.
I want a fucking bed.
I want a room. And so that's one way it happens. The second way it happens is you're full of shit. You don't have the room, but you're telling the guest,
Right.
the desk clerk, that you do have the room.
I actually have a full of shit story that I can tie back to Disney World. So when I was 17 years old, I got to go on my first ever trip without mom and dad, and they let me go to Disney World. And the condition was you plan the entire trip, and you could go with your friends. So I planned the entire trip. We paid a ridiculous $135 a night at the Contemporary Hotel. This was 1986. $7. So that was actually expensive back in the day, but we shoved four or five guys in a room. Didn't really matter. And this is before computers really hit the mainstream. So what we would do is we go to the restaurants that we wanted to eat at and just pretend that we had a reservation there. And be like, oh, yeah, you don't have party 5 for Glenn? What do you made the reservation 3 months ago? We just bullshit our way into all of the, meals.
I unfortunately have done that too.
Yeah.
I've actually done that at a hotel once too. But so that's
so what can you do if you're being walked or they just don't have your reservation?
You know what? I hate to say it, but the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yep.
I mean, you just got to make yourself heard. I mean, if you go quietly, they're going to let you go quietly. There's no secret. I mean, you just got to get the supervisor. You got to make a big deal. You got to dance on the desk. You got to do whatever you got to do. I mean, people that are listening to this, the general manager, are like, oh, dude, why are you telling people this? It's because it's true. It's the person that makes the most noise wins. Now, if you make the most noise and you're wrong, then we don't care. But if you're making the most noise and we probably know that the reservation was there and we just don't have the room, then just refuse to go to another room and they'll just have to walk somebody else. Typically, we'll walk somebody else. Or decide to be a grown-up and just take the walk. Go back the next day. They'll give you a comp room and deal with like a grown-up. But, dirty rooms, noisy rooms, checking in with a reservation confirmation and they don't have your reservation. These are things that are never going to go away.
No, they're never going to go away. I actually got walked once. It was 2 a.m, but it completely sucked on one hand, but I thought they handled it well. I called them. They told me that my room had already been given away. Don't worry. They found alternate accommodations for me. My room was comped. They paid for it at the other hotel, and it all worked out okay. So it could have been a negative situation. They turned it into a positive situation. I got a good night's sleep anyway.
Well, when I was at the Plaza Hotel, Donald Trump owned it, and he was in bankruptcy, so every room counted. So every time we can oversell it, we oversold the hotel. So we were walking a lot of people. And so I learned how to walk a guest. Do you want to learn how to walk a guest?
I definitely want to learn how to walk a guest because that is, a pretty prickly situation to be in.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm the front desk clerk, and you're Mr. Smith, and you're checking into the hotel.
Yeah. Hi, I'd like to check in. I'm Mr. Smith. Here's my confirmation number.
Mr. Smith, we've been looking forward to your arrival. Unfortunately, we had a plumbing issue in your room, and we're at full capacity. But what we did was we put you in an upgraded room at the Hotel Park Lane right next door. And Eddie, right over there, say hello, Eddie. Eddie is going to bring you. Eddie's going to bring you over to the Park Lane. We're going to give you $50 for your trouble tonight, so you can get something from room service. We're going to actually have him bring their bell card over with you. He's going to get your key for you, and he's going to bring you to your room. And then tomorrow you come back to the Plaza Hotel. We're going to have an upgraded room for you. It's going to be complimentary. We're going to give you free breakfast, and we're going to give you a comp night stay the next time you come back. Thank you so much, and we're so sorry about the problem. Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. And
I can't say anything else.
There you go. And you just literally said what I hoped you would say.
Yeah.
Is like, don't give them a second to speak.
Right. Yeah, because at the beginning it's like, but you kept going more.
Well, see, the second I took a breath,
Yeah.
you would have said but.
Yeah.
So I can't breathe.
Right.
So you have to learn a technique of how to speak 2 minutes fast without breathing. And it really works. I swear to God, we've done it every time, and almost never did somebody throw a flower vase at me, except once.
I love that. So now there's a couple of other things that I want to talk about, but the first thing I want to do is take a commercial break, and we're going to be right back with more ways to handle some of those basic hotel problems that you see, and we'll be right back after this.
Hospitality professionals rely on HD Supply facilities and maintenance for the day-to-day maintenance of their engineering departments, housekeeping supplies, as well as their capital expenditure renovations. And why? Because they're reliable and they've been around for decades. They have over 100,000 products, and they have a nationwide distribution system. They have an amazing dedicated sales representation force, and they have the tools, technology, and specialized services to make your hotel spectacular.
Hey everybody, Glenn here. So listen to this. Cobblestone Hotels is celebrating their 10th anniversary, and man, have they accomplished a lot in the last decade. Already, they have more than 150 hotels throughout the United States. but they're in smaller and medium-sized markets. Those markets that the big franchise companies, they're underserving, they're overlooking, and in some cases just ignoring. But Cobblestone is an expert in these markets. And their president and CEO, Brian Wagernes, listen, I've gotten to know him in the last 10 years, and he has worked every job possible, including being an owner and operator. I can personally vouch for how awesome this company is, how awesome he is as an individual, because he understands the importance of finding the right combination of hotel brand and franchise owner. He's also an incredibly dedicated professional. Whether it's a Cobblestone Hotel and Suites Main Street design, Borders Inn and Suites, or one of the newly acquired brands such as Boulders Inn and Suites, Key West Inns, Centerstone Inns and Suites, Cobblestone has brands that range from economy to upper mid-tier, and one that's right for you. Quite simply, Cobblestone Hotels is the franchise for franchise owners. Patrick Mullenix, well, he's Cobblestone's new president of franchise development. Give him a call or check out their website at cobblestonefranchising.com. But give Patrick a call. He's a great guy. I've known him for a really, really long time, too. You can find him at 920-216-0620. That's cobblestonefranchising.com. And tell him Glenn sent you. All right, and we're back. So, Anthony, we're talking about all of these issues that people face, some of the most basic issues. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. Let's talk some of the basics. What's the next big one that you're thinking of?
Well, before we talk about that, one of the things I want to give people advice on is pay a couple extra dollars for the review, for the hotel that's reviewed really well online. Don't go to the hotel that has a lot of bad reviews and you're like, you know what, I'm staying there for one night. I just got to save $10. You go to that hotel and you're going to have noise problems. You're going to have reservation problems. You're going to have all kinds of problems. And the biggest one you're going to have is the one that you find in most hotels that are in the middle of the pack. Okay, it's hot water. No hot water. Now, when you go to a really good hotel and you're going to the top 10, 20, 30%, rarely do you ever run out of hot water. But usually in the middle of the pack of the hotels and the comp set, that's when they run out of water because they don't have a couple things. One, their boilers aren't big enough. Second of all, they don't have pumps that really bring up the water fast enough and have a lot of water pressure up to the higher floors. So hot water, to me, is probably almost as important, if not more important, than a really comfortable bed because there's nothing more important to me in the morning than a hot shower. So that is a really, really big deal. So the one thing I would do is when you wake up in the morning, when you're brushing your teeth, or when you make that little pee-pee at 4 o'clock in the morning, run the hot water. See if there is hot water. So if there isn't hot water, you have a couple of hours for them to fix it before you're taking your hot shower.
That's pretty clever. But what about a tip of just don't jump in the shower at the same time in the morning as everyone else is? Because I try to either do it the night before or wait until after or do it earlier.
Absolutely. Doing it the night, I don't do it the night before. I need to take a shower in the morning. And I do it when I feel like doing it. I'm not waking up half hour early because I hope there's hot water. It's the hotel's job to make sure there's hot water, and 99.999% of the time there is. If you go to a nice hotel, and you know, again, you don't have to go to a fancy hotel, but make sure you go to a highly rated hotel in your area that you're going to, and you'll usually get hot water. I'm not waking up a half hour early so I can hope there's hot water, and I'm not taking a shower the night before because it's uncomfortable for me to walk out of the room without having a shower.
Well, I'm just talking a good game. I could sometimes go weeks without bathing.
No. But that is a great idea because if you are staying in a cheap hotel and you decide to save that $10 and you really say, all right, this hotel sucks, I'm just going to take a shower at night just to make sure, then that's a great tip. You're amazing.
Yeah. All right, makes a lot of sense. So, any other areas of complication that you're thinking of?
Well, I just said all these are number ones, but there's another number one.
Oh yeah.
We're going to be talking about really rude staff.
Oh, I can't stand that. I had a little interaction with somebody yesterday that I thought was rude.
Yeah, so did I. I had the same interaction yesterday with somebody that was rude because we just had it on different ends of the of the Skype.
We certainly do. I really can't stand when I go to a hotel, a world of hospitality, and my basic question is met with, why the hell are you talking with me? Not those words, but that attitude.
Yeah, we had an audio guy at a resort, and that we were doing a Skype from. Glenn was there, and I was on the other side in my house because I'm still nursing my broken ankle. And the person that was trying to set this all up for us was doing his job, I guess, trying to set it up. But he was extraordinarily rude and just made everything unpleasant.
Yeah, I mean, the first interaction that I had, I'm like, let me give him the benefit of the doubt. There's some serious technological issues that have to be worked through on a time schedule. I could understand if he's being a little gruff because he's so focused. But when I went back to double check and he doubled down on the crabbiness, I'm just like, ugh, what are you going to do?
So you know my favorite line for that, right?
What is that? I don't.
Was I in your kitchen this morning?
No, you were not in my kitchen this
So
morning. I wish you were, because I could have used someone to make me a cup of coffee. I had to do it myself.
So when people are rude to me, I say, so I wasn't in your kitchen this morning, was I? And they're like, what?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, well, then I didn't pee in your Cheerios.
Right.
So if I didn't pee in your Cheerios, don't take it out on me. And that usually shuts them up. So how do you deal with rudeness to the hotel? Directly. Just directly. It's like, you know what really catches people by surprise?
Right.
Am I bothering you? I say that. I probably say that at least once.
That's a great way to put
weeks.
it. That's a great way to put it, because if you get into someone's face, you're being rude, and then they're going to get all crazy and defensive. That kind of throws them off their guard.
I just say, did I do something to upset you? Am I bothering you?
Right.
And like, no. I was like, I just don't understand, why are you so upset? What am I doing? I just need to know what I'm doing, so I stop doing it.
Right.
And like, I act like it's my fault. And with I'm really saying, say it again before I'm going to jump over the counter, because I'm like, I hate rudeness more than anything. And so just be, be direct, but, kind of in an indirect way, saying, am I doing anything to piss you off?
Yeah.
And typically they start changing their behavior. I do that probably once every 2 weeks. But I don't really run into really rude people. And I don't think rudeness is a problem. I think is a problem? Mediocrity.
Right.
So I think we know when we see rudeness, which is rare, and we know when we see exceptionalism,
right?
But we don't really recognize mediocrity.
I also think
we accept it.
And I want to talk about that in a second, but I do want to add one thing to the rudeness. I think sometimes people misinterpret what rudeness actually is. For example, there's growing up my whole life, everyone came up with the attitude, oh, New Yorkers are so rude. They're not rude. They're just going from one place to another with purpose,
really quickly.
Right? So you stop and say, hi, New Yorker. Usually they're like, hey, what's going on, man? Good to talk to you, that sort of thing. But people misinterpret it. So you have to understand if people, culturally, is that within the parameters of rudeness?
Listen, I was in Rome last week, and
right.
There's not a lot of please and thank you going around.
Right.
And that's just their culture.
Yeah. And you have to kind of understand what that is. And the thing about living here in the United States is we don't have one culture. We're as larger than all of Europe that has all those distinct cultures. New York culture is very different than culture in Atlanta, which is very different than a town in Alabama, for example. And they all have their different ways of living and traditions and all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes we'll misinterpret what's rude.
It's, again, not what you say, it's how you make people feel. It's
right.
You don't have to say please and thank you and smile all the time, but are you genuinely want to help somebody? Are you really going out of your way? I was in, where was I? I was in Rimini, Italy, just a couple of weeks ago, and I had a long trip. I was in Rome with my family, and it was fantastic, but it was a long 2 days, and I had a long drive to Rimini. And I go into this hotel, and it's not a branded hotel. It's a regular hotel in Rimini. And it's called the Aqua Hotel. And I'm just like, I just hope this is a good experience. Usually people who are footing the bill take good care of me and put me in nice rooms. And I'm just like, I just hope this is a good experience. I walk in, there's a gentleman. He's at the staircase at the sidewalk. Mr. Melchiorri, great to see you. Grabs my luggage, brings me upstairs, gives me a bottle of water, gives me my key, doesn't even ask for my credit card. I go into my room. He helps me into my room. He calls me back like 20 minutes later. Anything I can do for you? The next morning I come down, the breakfast was closed, and he had kept some breakfast out for me because he hadn't seen me leave. So I came down, and I goes, breakfast open? He goes, no, but we left some stuff out for you. Do you like boiled eggs and with oatmeal or whatever? I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you so much. He goes, yeah, we didn't see you leave. We thought because you had a long day, you were going to be up late. Then the next day, he calls me up in my room, and it's 10 o'clock, and I have to be at the convention center at 11 o'clock, so I'm not getting up early to go to the convention center because I'm tired. And he calls me up at 9:50, and he said, Mr. Melchiorri, will you be having breakfast with us this morning? I said, yes. He goes, well, the kitchen's closing, but we'll make sure that we have what you need when you come down. I said, thank you so much. He goes, matter of fact, would you like us to bring it up to you? I was like, I would love that. Dude.
Yeah. So that's somebody who's not being, let's tie it back to what you wanted to speak about before, mediocrity.
Right,
that's going.
But before I forget, the next morning, the desk clerks that were right next to him saw what he did, and he left. He wasn't on that morning. They didn't do it. And I came down, and I said, is breakfast closed? I said, yes, and they didn't offer me anything.
Now that is mediocrity.
Right. I mean, I accepted it because it was like they were so nice, and so was that a training thing? Is that the Aqua Hotel, or was it just a really good desk clerk that was being really, really nice?
That's hard to discern the difference from an outsider.
It was just him.
It was just that person. So how do you avoid the trap of mediocrity and make sure that you're always checking yourself to go above and beyond?
I just don't suffer fools very well. I just don't. I just and I listen. I just don't accept it. I just don't accept it. So if I'm in a rush and if somebody gave me my key, and somebody said please and thank you, and there was nothing exceptional, but I need to get out of there, I don't care. But if I'm sitting there and I'm trying to engage you, and I may need dry cleaning services, and I may need to know if room service, what's on the room service menu. At the front desk because it's late and I don't want to search my room for the room service menu. I'd like you to basically tell me what's on the room service menu, have a room service menu there, basically tell me about dry cleaning services, tell me if you don't think my shirt will be back. My steamer broke mid-trip, and I was always petrified that I would always have wrinkled suits because in Europe, they don't let you bring an ironing board to the room.
What?
You didn't know that? You're not allowed to have an ironing board in the room in Europe.
I had no idea.
Yep. So
why?
Because they say it's a fire hazard.
Right. That's why all those hotels in the USA are burning down constantly.
Yeah. They let you put a candle in the room, but they won't let you have an iron board in the room. But so I panicked, and at the Waldorf in Rome I was staying at, I had to pay $125 to get 3 suits and 3 shirts pressed because I was freaking out that I would have no place to press the next couple of days because I had a lot of appointments.
Wow. I'm sitting here with a blank face of shock right now.
Yeah, so I'm saying get out more, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe every time I've been in Europe, I haven't needed to do all that. But typically, first thing I do is I unpack my bag and I iron all of the shirts that I'm going to need while I'm in that particular hotel, so I don't have to do it every day.
It's so much easier.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, steamers changed my life.
All right.
I can't leave without a steamer.
All right, I'm gonna have to consider that. You're really shaking me to the core here. I'm rethinking everything in my entire life.
So basically, we were talking about whether it be hot water, whether it be rude staff, whether it be a room that's not available or not ready, is bring your happy face, bring a smile, be pleasant. But when you are faced with people who are being disrespectful, who are being impatient, and who are not giving you what you want, bring it up a notch. And you all have the ability to go online and tell people how you feel about that hotel. And then eventually, if the general manager is not there and you ask for the general manager, make sure you call the general manager, get the general manager on the phone. But most of the time, your problem will be resolved. These are the issues that just happen in hotels. Hot water happens even in the best hotels when there's no hot water. A noisy room because the housekeeper gets overexcited in the morning and is talking to her friend. It happens. A reservation gets lost in the system simply because there was a technical issue. It happens. So you're going to deal with these issues, deal with it in a positive way, but don't settle for we can't help you. No is the worst word in the English language.
Right. But if in Albania, if you shake your head, no, you mean yes.
Yes. So I just told you something you didn't know. So tell me something I don't know about you.
All right. I've actually been thinking this through because I knew you were going to ask me this question. I'm going to make a big admission here right now. Sometimes when I'm feeling really extremely lazy and I don't feel like folding a piece of clothing, I'll just throw it back in the laundry, pretend it was dirty.
Me too. Me too. Yeah. I'll send it to the dry cleaners, like whatever.
I'm like, it's only $1.25 for them to launder the shirt. What the hell?
Yeah, me too. Unless you're at the Waldorf in Rome.
Right. All right. So what about you? Tell me, Anthony, something that I don't know.
I had, like I said, a couple weeks ago, I had a very busy week traveling, and I had met a person that owns a tour company named Luca in Rome. When I was there with my family, and we all fell in love. Like,
did Luca live on the second floor?
What's that?
That's a stupid 80s joke. My name is Luca. I live on the second. You don't know that song? All right, all of you out there, you know this song. So send us your notes to tell me that I know what I'm talking about. Anthony,
sometimes very
Luca,
painful to do this podcast.
Well, now you know how I feel.
Oh, that was good. Son of a bitch. So Luca became very good friends with me and my family, and I talk to him like once a week, and he owns a really great tour company in Europe. So if you're going to Europe to Italy, or you're going to specifically Rome or Tuscany, or really any place in Italy, hook me up or hit me up, I should say, on social media, and I'll give you Luca's information because he has the best tour company in the world. But anyway, So Luca picked me up at the airport.
Right.
Took me to my hotel room, met me the next day, and took me out for a great dinner, great drinks, great laughs. We stayed out for a couple of hours, and it was really the first time in years that I actually enjoyed the traveling, where I had a friend to hang out with and really just had no responsibility to show up, speak, or do anything. And I was just like, I remember walking through one of the piazzas in Rome and just saying to myself,
Yeah.
this feels good.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. It was great
Yeah.
talking to
Hey,
you.
man, I'm feeling good. Let's make everyone feel good. How can we find you?
You can find me at Anthony Hotels anywhere you want to be on social media.
Beautiful. And I'm at Traveling Glenn. Same here. Make sure you give us a good 5-star rating on iTunes. Like our Facebook page, Checking In with Anthony and Glenn, or find us on LinkedIn, where we put up posts all the time. We want to hear from you, what you have to say. Drop us a line on any of those pages.
It's interesting. The first time we put the podcast up a couple months ago, we got a lot of reviews quickly, all 5 stars. And we haven't gotten a review in a while. Maybe, and I know people are listening because we're in the top 10 podcasts in the country.
We've seen the numbers, people. So
Yeah.
just get out there, throw us a bone, make us feel good. You don't need to do it so much for me, but
Yeah,
Anthony's very insecure. He needs some of those 5-star ratings.
And this is a great opportunity to thank everyone. I mean, you guys are giving us some really good numbers, and the podcast is doing really, really well. It's one of the most successful new podcasts out there. So I don't know what we're doing.
I know what we're doing.
What are we doing?
You give us a 5-star rating, and we will thank you personally on air.
Oh, we will.
Yes, we will.
All right, fantastic.
All right, you got to
Okay.
throw them a little. You got to throw people a little bit of a bone in order to help
I'll
them.
give you 4.5 stars.
All right. Well, all right. Well, all right. If we're going to be honest here, I thought your performance today was 3 stars, but you know, 5 stars all around. I really love doing the show with you, Anthony, and we'll be back next time. So for Anthony and myself, Glenn, thanks for checking in.
It's Checking In with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's Checking In with Anthony and Glenn.